going on, YouTube? Eric Bauer, back again. Another video. Less than a week after the last video? What kind of shit is this when I'm uploading more than once a week, let alone once a month? It's crazy. Anyway, yeah, I'm just chilling, hanging out, fucking rocking out to some Ulysses Siren. Sick Bay Area thrash. I've talked about Ulysses Siren before. Fucking crucial. Gotta hear them. Some of the, just so visceral. So good. Anyway, I'm kind of procrastinating working on the podcast because I haven't thought of anything cohesive with everything else that's going on and bouncing back and forth in my brain to talk about. So I just kind of came up with an idea for a quick video that I thought would be cool. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it'll suck. Sure, you'll let me know down below in the comments. Anyway, before I just lose composure entirely, what do I want to talk about today? I don't know. I've been going through like my discogs and shit, my want list, all that, looking through my own collection, and I thought it'd be fun to talk about 10 albums that are kind of grails, I guess, that I've got on either tape or CD that I want on original vinyl. So we're not going to look at any records. This is going to be some tapes, some CDs. Let's fucking get into it, I guess. The first thing I want to talk about that I want to pick up on an original press, Samael, Blood Ritual. I have talked about this album before, so I'm not going to say too much about it, other than that this is a Century Media cassette press. Fucking sick. Just fantastic Swiss black metal. Is it death metal? Is it black metal? It's kind of somewhere in between. It is a bit of a departure from Worship Him, which came before, and is, in my opinion, one of the most perfect black metal albums of all time. This is up there with it, I would say, for sure, as far as absolutely essential Samael albums go. Yeah, no question that Blood Ritual should be included with Worship Him and Ceremony of Opposites. This album is awesome, and it's been repressed a whole lot, and I don't think a lot of the represses vary too much from the original pressing, other than some packaging changes and tweaks here and there as far as the cover art's concerned. Like there's a really shitty one where it looks like it's in like a bank vault or something. That's no good. Nobody wants that on their shelf. But yeah, a fucking OG of this would be sick. So the next thing I want to talk about, and I already said they were Swiss. As far as the year it came out, because I guess maybe that's important. 1992. Took some notes. So you're going to see me looking in that direction because I might have to refer to those notes. I didn't commit all of this to memory. But the next album I want to talk about, right here. Thou Art Lord, Eos Forus. One of probably, if I were to compile a top 5 list of Greek black metal bands or albums specifically, not bands, because not everything Thou Art Lord released in the 90s was as stellar as this record right here. In fact, the most recent album, which I can't remember the title of, but Nuclear War Now released it maybe 5 or 6 years back. I want to say it's probably up there as some of their strongest material, but this album has a real nostalgic place for me. It came out in 1994, and they're one of those bands that I got into in the 90s when I was discovering black metal. You know, as far as the Hellenic scene goes, I found Rotting Christ, Varathron first, and I kind of had to explore deeper from there, where I found like Thou Art Lord and Tatir and Nightfall, Macabre Omen, that type of shit. Anyway, this is a Floga repress, and it's really silly because the fold out is this is absurd, like upside down cross, totally unnecessary. Was released on Unisound originally. I would fucking love to get my hands on an OG of this shit. So good, fucking fantastic. So, the next thing we're going to talk about, something that I've been kind of not assertively shopping for, but it's been on my list for a very long time. That would be Pitch Shifter with their debut Industrial on fucking Def. Released the vinyl version as well as the cassette version in 1991. And if you're not familiar with Pitch Shifter, this is some killer industrial in the vein of Godflesh. But it also harkens back to a lot of that UK crust sound with some of the more industrialized Axe Grinder or Prophecy of Doom. Super downtrodden industrial. This is a downer listen, man, but it's so fucking good. Heavy, assaultive, mechanical. It's fantastic. I would love to get my hands on a 12-inch of this shit. Oh, and this fucking track just kills. Listen to that shit. Ulysses Siren. Shit rules. Next album that I would love to upgrade. Sodom's Masquerade in Blood. Really the last great Sodom album from the 90s, in my opinion. This followed Get What You Deserve, which I'm not a big fan of that album. It's not bad, but not great as far as what you would be thinking of great Sodom albums, especially in the 90s. Really, the bar was set with Tapping the Vein, which I talked a little bit about in the last video. But this, first of all, that just begs to be on a 12-inch. That artwork is just fucking phenomenal. This album sounds a lot like, kind of like a more Motorhead influenced version of Tapping the Vein. And it's a great record. Wax Maniacs, I'm pretty sure, put out a reissue on Wax of this. I don't want a reissue. A lot of my Sodom is reissued. This is one I would love to snag an original from. It's just iconic. It's not all about the artwork though. The music's killer. It sounds like Sodom. I mean, if you're familiar with what Sodom kind of went toward after Persecution Mania, Agent Orange, Get What You Deserve, fucking the mighty Tapping the Vein. There was another album in there that I can't think of the name of, which was actually pretty decent as well. Yeah, this is fucking great shit. Rules. Am I just rambling too much right now? Does anybody really care? Anyway, next album. Imperator. That was upside down. Imperator from Poland. I've talked about this before. Fucking perfect Polish death metal. It's phenomenal. A lot of people accuse it of being morbid angel worship in the same way that Shub-Niggurath from Mexico were. This has a lot of aspects that forge its own identity, basically. It's a pretty unique sounding album when you compare it with a lot of the other Polish bands that were coming around about the same time, like Vader, Betrayer, fucking Pandemonium. This stuff just fucking amazing. And I know Nuclear War Now reissued it not too long ago, but the layout for the OG is where it's at. I just love that shit. The 90s fucking OGs. That's where it's at. Don't get me wrong. I love a good reissue as much as the next person, but there's certain albums that just tick that nostalgia box that I want to have dusty, used, well loved. This is one of those things right here. Awesome. And that came out in 1991 on Numerator. Nameless Productions. See, I wrote some shit down. I can't even read my own handwriting. Pretty bad. So the next thing we're going to talk about the second full length from Chakal, The Man Is His Own Jackal. Now this is a reissue that came out from Gray Haze, Koga Mello. I got a cat fucking with a tripod. George, come on. Get it together. Anyway, this is the second album from Chakal, from Brazil. And this was released originally in 1990. Like I said, Koga Mello originally released it. They did the reissue with Gray Haze. This is a double album. It also has their follow-up to this, Death is a Lonely Business, which I'm not as familiar with as I am the Chakal material. And this is just amazing fucking thrash. It features kind of a different lineup from the previous album as far as the vocal department goes. Vladimir Korg was originally the vocalist for Chakal, and he left after the first album and joined The Mist, which is another fantastic Brazilian thrash band, also on Koga Mello. Also with cover artwork from this same artist whose work I love. Look at those airbrushes, just fucking killer. What to say about this album? It's awesome. If all you've heard is the primitive barbarity of their debut album, give this one a shot. It's more technical. It's definitely more thrash, whereas the debut leaned a little bit into like the early black metal trappings, like Sarcophago and early Sepultura and fucking Holocausto and Mutilator. They kind of escaped that a little bit on this album here, and it's fantastic. It's a technical record for sure, but it doesn't skimp on the raw, visceral impact of South American, specifically Brazilian thrash at the time. It's just crucial, and was only ever released one pressing on LP, Koga Mello, 1990, and it's not cheap, but love a copy. Fucking hook it up. So after that, we're going to talk about another one. This is just like one of my grails for the longest time. I need to stop talking about it, actually pull the trigger sooner or later before I don't have an opportunity to do so. Talking about Masquerade with Requiem from Colombia. This was released in 1991 by Osmos Productions out of France. This is a repress on Raven Music. I don't know how long I've had this for, a long time, but yeah, this album is godly. The penultimate Colombian death metal band. Masquerade, actually at the point that they released this, they already had like several demos and EPs out, and they kind of started off in like the thrashy sort of like Sarcophago vein. They got a bit more refined on this, incorporate like a lot of Spanish guitar. You'll hear like stuff that sounds almost flamenco on here. So there's a lot of acoustic intervals and passages and interludes. It's a very atmospheric album, but it's also at the same time fucking Colombian death metal. So it's bestial and just deadly. And like I said, one of my grails for a very long time. Hope to add this one on vinyl to the collection sooner or later. Sooner than later, hopefully. Let me flip this record. This album just so good. I probably should have picked a different record to play because I could get distracted with the next couple tracks. We'll see. I'm still playing with this angle, this view. I don't know. Tell me what you think. Is it cool? Should I go back to the old spot with the records behind me? I don't know. Felt like changing it up. Anyway, shit fucking rules. Fucking mighty. After that Masquerade, the next album I want to talk about is another one that it's been on my Discogs want list probably since I've started a Discogs account, and I've definitely missed many opportunities to snag it. At this point, I don't know if I'm ever going to get an opportunity to snag it, but I'm talking about Slaughter in the Vatican by Ex-Hoarder. Even this version is kind of rare these days. Double disc, features Slaughter in the Vatican, as well as the follow-up, The Law, which is a fucking terrible record. I don't care what you say. The Law sucks. Slaughter in the Vatican rules. This shit is a template for some of the nastiest, heaviest thrash to come out of the United States. And it is absolutely vital. Holds up super well. Even kind of the dumber tracks are still fucking just like, ugh. It just gets you fucking riled and you want to fucking throw down and start some shit with just some random people walking down the sidewalk if you're going to the store to get some beer and you didn't feel like driving. Anyway, killer fucking record. And yeah, I want the vinyl. I'll even take a fucking reissue for this. And that shit's expensive. Hard to find. I'm not going to say too much more about that record. You should know. Check it out. And as I've been not prone to do over the last course of like the last 5-6 videos I've thrown up, I'm not going to put links. Fucking find this shit yourself. I'm going to sneeze. Hold on. I just skipped the record. All right. This shit right here. So good. So good. I love that fucking album. The Ex-Hoarder, if I didn't mention, came out in 1990. RC Records from the US. Awesome shit. Where does that leave me? Got a few other things to talk about. This is not going to be as long as my last few videos. You can thank me later. So, brings me to Septicemia with Sabbath Conventions. I pulled this out on the live stream that I was on Friday night with Ben Smasher and Marty Worm and Jason Hook, Ken's Death Metal Crypt, and Kevin, Full Metal Ginger. This is a boot, which I'm happy with. It's actually a pretty nice boot. Pro printed J card. Greek death metal. If you're familiar with like Horrendous, Garden of Earthly Delights, the killer fucking album, and that's kind of what you can expect with this Septicemia. Released 1992, Black Power Records out of Greece. Just absolutely crushing, melancholic death metal. An original of this, perfect. And I don't know how much they run. I don't think they're super expensive. And all of their material was compiled onto a 12-inch comp not too long ago by, was it Floga maybe? I could be wrong about that. I know Floga did some horrendous reissues. Anyway, this shit's fucking just, it's killer. fucking killer. Absolutely mandatory. I got a bonus one. This is more of a recent album. And it's pretty difficult to find in the US. That is the Balafists from Pentagram, Chile. Not to be confused with the US doom metal pioneers. This shit is some nasty black and thrash out of Chile, played by a bunch of scene veterans who've been around since like 1987, 1988, making some just filthy, killer thrash metal. Awesome shit. Not a lot of stuff compares to Pentagram. This was released in 2013 on Cyclone Empire. And it's just an awesome record. It's an extension of the earlier Pentagram material. So if you're familiar with their first two demos, they re-record a couple tracks on this album, sound fresh. Don't get me wrong, the originals are really where it's at for me. But this on LP would be awesome. It rarely comes up though from the last few times that I've checked. And if it does, never in the US. Not that I'm opposed to, going abroad for fucking records. It's never stopped me in the past. Right now, maybe with everything that's going on out in the world, shit's crazy. And, who knows how trustworthy the mail is going to be in a month's time, at least here in the US. Let me just say that if you profess to put a fucking hex on the US Postal Service using human ashes in a graveyard, you're a fucking idiot. Fucking foolish. Especially if you're doing that, assuming you believe in that shit in the first place, to the people who provide you with what I assume is the source of your primary interest, music. Just saying. Last thing, it makes 11. I just talked about 10, but this thing's fucking crucial. Graf Spee, Reincarnation. Fucking this band is pretty obscure. Not a lot of people are familiar with this band because they're one of like 4 bands out of Uruguay. Yeah, who knew Uruguay had a scene, right? Originally released in 1989 on Orfeo Records. And if you're familiar with like Blasphemia or Parabellum, Ramon, that's the type of shit you can expect on this fucking album. What's another? Astaroth is another comparison that you could look into, and that's the type of shit that you're gonna get on this. This is not an easy listen, okay? But it's savage, it's raw, and once you get below all of the layers of cacophony and distortion and terrible production, this album has a lot of hooks. It fucking thrashes in that way that, like, when you're listening like a Napalm Death track and you hear Barney go thrash. That's the kind of thrash you can expect on this Graf Spee. Not too dissimilar to some of the raw shit that Pentagram was doing in Chile around the same time. This album is awesome. It's fucking killer. It was reissued a few years back, and that reissue has spiked in price. If you can find a copy, I think there's like one seller on Discogs in China who wants around $100 for the reissue. There's one copy of an original press available on Discogs. You want to know how much it costs? $5,000. So hook me up, man. Shoot, PayPal me some fucking cashola so I can fucking fork over $5,000 for a 12-inch of some really obscure South American death metal that maybe 5 people give a shit about besides myself. Anyway, shit rules. Ulysses Siren rules. You all rule for watching my shit, for commenting, engaging in conversation. Keep it up. I'm going to keep up with the videos. I'm going to try and have some podcast shit done this weekend so I can actually put something up out into the world that's not just me rambling on a dumb camera with my dumb face. Anyway, on that note, stay safe, stay healthy, Keep it real. Peace out, YouTube.